Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema. I've probably not seen it, Paul's watched it in the wrong order, and James has probably written an essay on it.
Probably not this episode right enough, but most things that I have reviewed, I've written some kind of dialogue on it. Aye.
Such classics such as Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, yep, you can find that in the repertoire.
So it's a really exciting episode. We announced this on social media, much like a big football signing, that James has agreed to join Seismic Cinema on a permanent basis.
Yep. I was quite flattered with the signing news on Twitter. It's like always like a football signing, you know. But I'm just happy to be here. Now I'm sounding like a footballer, you know. I'm excited to get started and the rest of it.
You're gonna have to get yourself you're gonna have to get yourself a headset and a microphone as well now.
Aye, so just need to make sure you buy some coffee and all that sort of stuff to get that done.
Yep. So I've not seen it. Paul's watched Wrong Order. James has wrote an essay. A big aim of our podcast is to help promote as many independent podcasters, authors, writers, directors as we can. So if you ever fancy coming on the podcast, or you just want us to talk about or share your work, we'd be delighted to hear from you. We've had a lot of great guests on in the past.
Aye, I've seen you've had a few offers before, and any directors, actors who want to try and promote their work, we are happy to definitely get you on and talk about it.
Definitely. So just onto the social medias. We're Seismic Cinema, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, although I'm not sure if anyone actually uses Threads, and also on TikTok as well, where Paul occasionally works his magic. And in terms of watching and listening, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other podcast locations.
Just on that, are we allowed to call Twitter now, or is it X?
I'm still calling it Twitter because that's ridiculous.
Aye, it is ridiculous, man. But I do find it funny though. It's always going to be Twitter. It's been Twitter for years and years. Do you know what I mean? So
the weirdest thing is Threads and X are the exact same brand colors. It's repost instead of retweet. It's just I don't get it.
I only noticed that recently. I went to retweet something and it said repost. I'm going, no.
Like, genuinely think my pupils could come up with better branding and strategy than that.
Aye, it would be hard with it. It'd be hard.
In terms of recent podcasts, we took a wee bit of a break for my wedding, and we came back with a kind of live stream reintroduction episode, and then I did my first ever solo recording for Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2 at the weekend, and that was a surreal experience, literally talking into the void. But hopefully, James said he listened to it and he said it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, he did well. I couldn't imagine doing it myself, to be honest with you. Just because you do want that kind of feedback and you bounce off people's, but you done well. You done well, mate.
Now that I've done it, it feels better. So we are going to talk briefly about episodes 1 and 2 of Ahsoka before we talk about episode 3. And well done for watching all 3 in the short time period I gave you.
Oh, I know. It's a struggle, to be honest with you. But I managed to get it all done just today. I managed to get the last half an hour or so, 20 minutes of the episode 3 when I get in from work. So, aye.
When you said it was a struggle, do you mean time-wise, or is that a spoiler that you didn't enjoy it?
Time-wise, I'll get into 1 and 2 shortly.
Yeah. Cool. So before we get into it, I have been pestering Paul for months, and he eventually watched Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV series and also Star Wars Rebels. And for those that have watched Rebels, they'll know that that's plays such a huge part in many aspects of Ahsoka. So we waited till we were actually on air, so to discuss this. But I was wondering if you've watched Rebels, and if you haven't, do you know much about it? Did you know some of the backstory going in? So I'm quite interested to see where you're starting off from.
Well, you know, I like Star Wars. I have watched them all. But I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan as much as you, Colin. You know that. And I have not seen any Rebels or Clone Wars. No, so I came into this. I noticed it's based on that because I did read that the actors who play the characters also do the voiceovers in Rebels as well. Well, I'm not sure if all of them do, but some of them do. But
Well, not so much the ones in this show, but there's a character called Bo-Katan in Mandalorian.
uh,
The person who voiced her in Clone Wars was the actor, Katie Sackhoff.
yeah, aye. I did so. I came into this and with no Rebels or Clone Wars background, if you will. So I don't know if that makes me any worse of a person to review this or not.
No, I
But
think it provides a good balance to me who's seen it all. I actually prefer that you've not seen it because I'll be able to hear your perspective on the show having not had the background, and I can probably explain some things that maybe you didn't quite understand as
that'd be
well.
good. Aye.
Yeah, so don't know anything about it. Did you watch? Because you can obviously get like YouTube got everything like 10 minute summary of Rebels. Like, did you watch anything like that, or just go straight into it?
I straight into it. I was the time frame he gave me, Colin. I thought I need to get into this.
I'm a
Times
hard
at
task.
Essendon.
I'm a hard task master. Are you into like your animated shows, generally speaking?
Not Star Wars. I'm not into watching them. I've watched animated Batman and things. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? So I've watched some animated TV shows and what have you, but I've just not get round to watching
yeah.
any of the Star Wars stuff, even like the Bad Batch stuff. I've not seen any of
Mhm.
that
I'm
either.
not just saying it, but they have weak episodes, but the highs are high. Like, there's some fantastic content in there.
No, I've got mates who
Yeah.
group chats telling us to watch it and things, but
Mm.
it's just been put in the back burner. But
Put it on the
I'll make an effort to watch some of them at least anyway, man. So
put it on the someday shelf.
someday shelf with a bunch of other stuff.
Cool. Right. So yeah, we'll talk a wee bit about episodes 1 and 2. Like, oh, I've already talked about it. So I'll take a back seat a wee bit, just hear what you thought, what your views were, what you liked, what you disliked. Yeah, was it what you're expecting? Like, did it hurt not having watched Rebels beforehand? So just interested to hear your takes on things.
Aye. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest with you. Also, I knew, the character was in, Mandalorian, Boba Fett and things, so I didn't really know what to expect regarding it all. So I went in with no knowledge at all, really, other than that. In terms of the episodes, I thought it started really well. I did like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
The first episode, I thought it was quite action-packed. But I think thereafter, I found it quite difficult to try and once you get into it, I just find it's a wee bit hard to kind of follow at times. Now,
Hmm.
I don't know what it is. I thought the same with Mandalorian season 1 as well. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as the next person, whatever. But I just found it a wee bit hard to get into, and it was a wee bit slow for me. With that, I just want things to be
Hmm.
action packed right away. I thought the start of it was brilliant. The way it led into the characters, eventually, it got there. I did like the kind of the wee hints to the Mandalorian, and that was explained at the end of
Hmm.
the episode. So I a wee bit indifferent with it. I don't really know if I'd liked it or disliked it, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
get that. There was aspects that I liked about it. There was aspects I didn't maybe like as much. I think at the moment it's better than some of the Star Wars shows in terms of coherence and an actual storyline. Like Book of Boba Fett, we're looking at you. Um, but it's not as good as like Mandalorian season 1, which is kind of peak Star Wars TV, I would say.
aye,
And I think it'll ultimately prove to be stronger overall than Obi-Wan
aye,
and Boba Fett, but maybe not Andor or Mandalorian, at least the first couple of seasons.
I think Boba Fett got a bit of a bad kind of rap because the Mandalorian features so heavily in it, and I think it overshadowed Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit unfair to kind of compare it to that. But I can already see, and it's just following the same path as the Mandalorian for me. I found it quite difficult. I went back and rewatched it all again, and then it started to kind of really hit. I probably rewatched these ones again, 1 and 2, because episode 3, spoiler for what's going to happen, I really enjoyed episode 3.
Okay. Do you like that more than 1 and 2 then?
I'd say so. I don't know why. I just thought there was a lot more kind of going on. I felt like there was something. It was coming to. We'll come to it, but I think it's going to. There was a point where it's going to get to. But I just enjoyed it more.
Can I ask, just because I really enjoy filling in like the gaps for people in these things, like what was it what weren't you getting, or what did you feel you were missing? Was there any particular things, specific things?
Maybe possibly just the amount of characters. I see the amount of characters there were. So you've went into this knowing characters. I just felt maybe I didn't have that type of kind of relationship. You went in knowing all these characters.
Do you want a very brief, like 2-minute summary of like the gist of Rebels and the squad?
No, I'm kidding on. Go tell me. Go.
I thought you were serious there. Don't worry, this isn't going to be 20 minutes long. So basically, it's set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Right.
And it's like a gang. You meet them, and they're just like a gang of fugitives. So you know Hera, the kind of green alien creature. That's not very nice. Being.
Yes.
So she's part of the crew. Chopper, the droid, the orange droid. He's part of the crew. You know how they mention Ezra quite a lot?
That's right, yep.
So he joins them in like the first couple of episodes. So he's like a street rat, essentially. His parents aren't there. He's just kind of getting in trouble. There's a runaway Jedi called Kanan, who's Hera's love interest. And there's a alien called Seb. He was actually in Mandalorian season 3. He was at like the bar that Mando goes to. He's like kind of like bluey purple.
Aye.
They focused on him in the shot quite a lot. So he's part of the crew. So basically they're just like a group of rebels. They're trying to do good for the galaxy. And you think they're just like a small group. But in reality, there's lots of different rebel cells that all kind of link together.
Okay.
And it's revealed in Rebels that Ahsoka. So they always talk about an agent called Fulcrum. It's like a code name. And it turns out Fulcrum is Ahsoka. So Ahsoka is like a big part of the rebellion and linking together these different cells. And do you mind like a really heavy Rebel spoiler because it's important?
No, not at all, man.
Right. So Ezra, street rat, basically a bit like the Aladdin of Star Wars. He strong in the Force and eventually becomes Kanan's Padawan. So he's learning to become a Jedi. He has flirts with the dark side, etc. Rebels is really good. It has like Darth Maul in it and things like that.
All my pals love it, and I've just not got round to it. Well, I think I'm going to have to watch it.
And so yeah, they're doing all these things. There's a lot more to it. Obviously, I'm just giving you the highlights. But is it the end of season 3? I think it is. Kanan gets killed, which was Hera's love interest, but Hera actually had, as you'll have seen in episode 3, Hera has a child. So the wee boy that said he wants to be a Jedi, well, his dad was a Jedi,
right?
Who was on the run from Order 66. And at the end of season 4, have you heard them mention Thrawn, who's also mentioned in Mandalorian? So he's like there was a trilogy of books years ago called the Thrawn trilogy, and he's like a genius imperial strategist who learns about the cultures of the different planets and uses that to defeat them. So he's in Rebels season 3 and 4, I think, and then he's about to like destroy the rebellion. But then Ezra who's got a good. Do you know how, like, a lot of the Force users have like a kinship with animals?
Yep.
He can kind of work with the space whales you'd have seen at the end of
Yeah.
that episode, and he like convinces them to transport himself because he's with Thrawn away from them to save the rebellion. So they end up going into a different galaxy because the space whales can travel between galaxies.
Yeah, that's what they said at the end of the episode, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
So Ezra's with Ezra that they keep talking about, who you see in the hologram. He's with Thrawn. So obviously Sabine and Hera, etc., they want to find Ezra, and the dark side users want to find Thrawn. So it's a kind of race from the two of them to get to that point. And did you remember the mural in episode 1, the kind of artwork?
Yep.
So that's the whole gang there.
Right. Okay.
Seb's in there as well. So I just thought that maybe give you like a wee bit of a back into where everybody is, and
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah,
Kind of not regret it, but it'd be good to get a wee bit of a backstory. I mean, I might go on YouTube and just try and get a wee bit of. But at the same time, I don't want to. I do want to watch the episodes and go right through it. You know.
To be honest, because Kanan's son's in there and he's not, like, him being dead is not really a massive spoiler in that context. You know Ezra's away, so
Aye.
I haven't really ruined anything that you wouldn't have worked out yourself anyway. But I just thought it would give you a wee bit of context and why the different relationships are important.
Because the Chancellor and the Senator, they're saying that they're both dead, aren't they? Ezra and
Aye, they're saying they are, but obviously there's politics in play.
aye.
It's interesting though, because do you know Mon Mothma, the Chancellor?
Mm-hmm.
How did you watch Andor?
I did watch it. Aye.
Yeah, because she's playing, she played the younger version of the character in different shows, but now she's technically an older version.
Right.
But she's like a lot younger, but they haven't aged her up. I don't know. It's just a bit confusing. So yeah. So when somebody episodes 1 and 2 you didn't hate, but you weren't that keen on, but you're just lacking a bit of the background.
Lacking background, definitely. And I'm just going to have to kind of make time. I'll watch them again 1 and 2, and just kind of it deserves another watch, I think. Just to get a wee bit more familiar, I think. But the lack of background, I say, is the main thing. I mean, I don't know. Did they expect? I mean, I don't know what they expected, to be honest with you, because right now I was probably late to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I mean, how many series of Rebels is there? There's quite a few, isn't there?
4.
All right, I thought it was more.
They're like 20-minute episodes though. There's
Right.
an occasional longer one, but there's a lot of the kind of characterization and character moments. Does it help you make sense of the episodes a bit more? Now I've explained like where Ezra went and what happened to Kanan and different things like that.
It feels like that these were just names getting bandied about. I'm going, right, I've got no clue who this is or who that is. Do you know what I mean? So I think with a wee bit of background in it, then it kind of starts to make sense a wee bit. So, cheers for that.
One big change in the show is Ahsoka training Sabine, which we obviously see.
Yep.
That's not something that happens in Rebels, so that's like a brand new thing. Although you'll like this tie-in, Sabine, because she's a Mandalorian. She at one point she had the Darksaber before it went back to Bo-Katan.
Right.
So it was actually Sabine that had that. So you see her in Rebels getting trained using the Darksaber.
Aye. All right. So that's quite a link then, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, see if you go on Disney Plus, it highlights like the Ahsoka centric episodes or the Sabine or Mandalorian centric episodes. Disney Plus actually like picks out the kind of must see animated content as well.
All right. I think it probably deserves. I thought it was more than 4 seasons of Rebels. I really did. I don't know why I thought that, but only
Yeah.
4 seasons.
Clone Wars has like 8 or 9. That's probably what
I
we're
think
thinking of.
that's what it is. Clone Wars.
Yeah. There was one other thing I was going to say about. Yeah, so see the scene when Ahsoka turns up at the end of episode. I can't remember if it's 2 or 1, and I think Sabine was just looking at the mural maybe, and then she agrees to go and help find Ezra.
That too.
I think it was 2. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Right, that was recreated directly from the last scene in Rebels, like
Right.
like scene by scene essentially. So the end of Rebels is actually way in the future to like where we are in the saga now. So I thought that was quite interesting that
That's
they
quite cool.
kind of recreated that.
Aye. That's quite cool.
Yeah. So we get on to episode 3 then and see
We'll go for it.
no, the spoilers here is the second episode was actually my favourite out of the 3
Right.
so far.
Okay.
I just thought I felt it was a lot pacier than the first one was more character driven, I think, but I just think the second one kind of took it up a notch with the action and the kind of progression. But obviously, you feel that way about the third one. So, what made you enjoy the third episode so much?
I don't know. I just feel like there was you said the first one was more character driven, definitely with the whole background of it. And I think the third one, it just started off at a point where stuff's going to happen. We're getting training at the start, which really reminded me of the Matrix. That scene is like kung fu, show me type thing, and I did like that aspect of it. I just felt in general season 3 there was an end point. They were trying to achieve something. I know they're trying to achieve something 1 and 2 as well, and it was to build to that point. But I just like action. You know what I mean? And I felt that it was. I don't know if I'm just comparing things to the Mandalorian as well, which maybe, you know what I mean. And I think that's maybe my problem, and that's just for me to sort out. But I just really enjoyed it. Really from the very start. And you obviously don't like it as much, which is again interesting. But that's probably why we differ in opinions, because you obviously the background and what maybe your expectations are maybe a little bit different to mine.
Yeah. As you know from previous things, action movies are not my favourite genre. I tend to lose concentration a wee bit if it goes on too long. But I've always liked Star Wars action. I feel like it usually achieves a good balance of the action and the kind of conversations. So obviously there was a training montage at the start. There was quite a few callbacks to previous movies. Did you catch any of them? During the kind of training scenes?
No, tell me.
So obviously the obvious one is when she's putting on the helmet with the visor.
Aye.
Obviously that was how Luke trained in A New Hope.
Aye, right.
On the Millennium Falcon, and Sabine actually says a exact replica quote from Luke. She says, "How am I supposed to see?" or something like that.
Aye.
It's like an exact copy and paste from Luke in A New Hope.
What did she say? She said, "I would hit you if I could see," or something like that. Aye.
So what do you make of because Ahsoka starts off in Clone Wars as like a teenager essentially, and you probably know she was Anakin's apprentice.
Yes.
And she wasn't liked at first. She wasn't liked by the fan base because she was dead a bit cringy, a wee bit over the top, and she used to call Anakin. No, Anakin used to call her Snit because of her hair. But she was dead light-hearted, full of fun, full of laughter. She's quite serious in this, isn't she?
Serious. I was going to say the word moody. I think there's a real. I don't know. Yeah, I've got nothing to compare it to. So,
yeah, because she's more like that in Rebels. In Rebels, when she's older, she's a lot more serious. stoics, I think is the best word to use. But if you ever did watch Clone Wars, you'll see how different she is from there to there. But she's obviously, she doesn't. I don't think she knows that Anakin is still alive at that point.
Right.
No, she does. Does she? No, she does. Yeah, she does. She does
Why?
know that she knows that Anakin's Darth Vader at that point, but she didn't always know that.
Right. Why do you think that this became a more serious kind of version of her then?
I think just her experiences. I think because she mentions in one of the episodes that she left the Jedi Order. She was treated really shoddily, actually, and then they invited her back, and she decided to leave. So I think that, and just maybe having most of her life in the war, like she's lost that kind of childhood innocence. But it'd be interesting to see if across this season, as she builds the relationship with Sabine, I wonder if she maybe comes back to herself a wee bit, possibly. Who knows?
Right. Okay. Did I hear correctly as well that she did finish her training with Anakin?
No. So long story short, she got framed for something that another Jedi did, and then they chucked her out the order, and then they found out it wasn't her, and then they invited her back, but then she decided to walk away. And I think, obviously, retrospectively, Ahsoka didn't exist when the original trilogy came out, but I think canonically she's a big reason why Anakin went to the dark side, because Ahsoka left. Do you know how Anakin had a big thing about loss, losing Padme, losing his mum? He lost Ahsoka. He lost Ahsoka as well. He's Padawan, who he's very close to.
Right. Okay.
Ahsoka's a top tier character, though. See, when you've seen the whole picture of it, like she's quite serious and a wee bit dull in this, but see just her whole arc across Clone Wars into Rebels, like she is top 10 for me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So high praise.
That's high praise.
So with the training montage, what did you make of the Ahsoka in space fighting on top of the ship?
I felt a wee bit much. To be honest with you, that's probably one of the negatives of it. I just think that's there's no need for that. Officially, it's probably good, but I just think that I just don't buy it. Just pinging back the lasers and whatever have you. Do you know what I mean? What do you think yet?
I've seen so many crazy things in Star Wars. Like there's have you heard of the show Visions? We've reviewed the kind of anime show.
No, I've heard that.
There's an episode in that that's just bonkers. So like I did think, like, I'm not a expert on like gravity, etc., but although she was wearing a spacesuit, she wasn't doing it just unaided. But I don't know, it seemed a bit crazy. I've only watched episode once. I would need to probably watch it again.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I only watched it once in the time I had, and I didn't rewind it back. And I didn't think she. At first viewing, I didn't think she wore a spacesuit. I couldn't really see.
Yeah.
When she ran back into the ship and the space, she had one on. It was off very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I need to go back and look at it again. That's like, nah, that's not going to happen. She has to have some sort of protection on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I still think it's a bit much though, regarding, you know what I mean? Doing the flying, and I just that was
it's memorable though. What you can say anything you want. Remember the Leia Mary Poppins scene in Last Jedi?
Aye, I think like there is mental stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I don't. In terms of this, I don't, even though the episode was great and things, that was a big negative point for me.
Yeah.
I'm willing to let it slide though. Do you know what I mean? It was, but aye.
So what else did you like? Any more specific things you liked about the episode? Because you seem quite keen on this one.
Aye, let me get my notes now. What's that?
In your notes.
Notes. No, I really like, and I really liked the android man. You know, he was. I think he was really funny.
Aye. So got a few fun facts about him. He mentions in the episodes that he was He was in Clone Wars
Right.
because he used to make the lightsabers for the Jedi younglings.
I think he kind of hinted to you because he had the lightsaber on and he was kind of saying about the training and things like that. So I figured he had something to do with that.
The funnest fact: do you know his voice by?
No.
Guess.
I can't guess. I need to hear it again. I need to hear the voice again. It's
David Tennant.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he voiced him in the animated series as well.
I'm embarrassed now. Then he's my doctor at the end of the day.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
That is cool.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I mentioned it in my Solo review. I keep thinking I'm saying Solo like the movie Solo, but I'm not. I think the droids are the comic relief in this show.
That's what I've written. Definitely.
Yeah, like Chopper. Did you like Chopper in the other episode where he's throwing the tracking and doing like thumbs up and things like that?
Yeah, it was good. I think in these things there has to be some kind of comic relief because it is quite a serious show, and the androids because there's more than one. They're really funny.
Hugh Wang, I think something like Hugh Wang's his name.
Right, Hugh Yang.
Yeah, Hugh
Yang. So Hugh Yang he was funny. Just like they say, do you know what I mean? Like you said during the training at the start, it was like it wasn't good. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. It's like stuff like that. And
it was like so and so said, "I'm the least skilled Jedi ever," and he went, "Yep, that's true."
You didn't tell that, did you? Well, it's true.
It reminds me a wee bit of K2SO from Rogue One. You know the droid in Rogue One? It reminds me a bit of him.
Right.
Because at one point, the similar droid to him gets shot down and he's like, "Did you know that wasn't me?" Is it not Alan Tudyk that does the voice for him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
It put me when Hugh Yang was like speaking. Obviously, he's a pure logical, and whenever he was speaking, I was just in the back of my head. I was like, you won't like this, but it's like Spock. He would just talk, and it would be there's no kind of any emotion. Obviously not because it's an android, but that's just the way he spoke, and I really liked that part of it, and definitely brought the comic relief. I think because it's such a serious thing. Even when he's going towards the ship at the end and he's trying to scan, he's going closer. You need to go closer. You need to go closer, and like I was not close enough.
He's following the Jedi protocol.
That's what I was going to say. The Jedi protocol, and then he just shuts down, and then that is. I did like him. So he was a big positive for me.
There was something he said. I can't remember specifically what it was, but I was just sitting there watching it by myself, and I just found myself smiling when he talked. I was like, "Yeah, he's doing a good job." Because the sequels, there was a bit of criticism for some of the humor, saying it was a wee bit Marvel-like. But I think this show's got more of the kind of Star Wars humor, just subtle.
Right. Well, what shows got criticised for it then?
Well, it was more like the sequels, so like Last Jedi.
Oh, right, right, okay.
Hux makes a like your mum joke at the start and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't think anything over the top. I think it was just like it just put a wee bit of lightheartedness to it.
Because Chopper's exactly the same in the animated show. He's just like a wind-up merchant, and like there's a you'll find a video on YouTube. It's like Chopper's kill count. He's just a savage. Like Chopper's very popular in the Star Wars fan base. Like, see if you go to Comic-Con, you would see people dressed up as Chopper or like.
Oh really?
Because this is quite a good bat in Rogue One when they're kind of running off to Scarif, the beach planet, to fight the Imperials. You see Chopper rolling about the rebellion base in Rogue One.
All right.
So it's not actually his first visit to live action. And Hera, from this show.
Uh-huh.
They say her name over the tannoy, General Syndulla. So there's a few nods to
All
Rebels
right.
in Rogue One as well. So if you're ever watching back Rogue One, which is Paul's favorite Star Wars film, there's a few Rebels nods in there.
Is it your favourite? I liked it. It wasn't. I think it's the best one, but there's a few people who don't like it as well.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And the last, in the Rise of Skywalker, when like 1,000 ships turn up to save the day at the end,
Uh-huh.
the ship called the Ghost, which is the Rebel crew's ship in Rebels, it's in that scene as well. So they
Alright.
were actually present. They were actually present at that battle.
All right. See,
Or some of them were. So
a lot of nods to a few things then, do you know what I mean? But like,
I'm a right sweaty.
I know, definitely. But I bet you're like that. I'm like probably more that way, like Doctor Who and things. You know, Doctor Who is probably my favourite sci-fi TV show. You know, so.
Do you know it's often misconstrued as I've got no negative feelings towards Star Trek fans at all.
Can you see it with a straight face?
Yeah, honestly, I quite enjoyed a few of the films. I liked the J.J. Abrams ones, Into Darkness and things like that.
Aye, I mean, I'm more aye. To be fair, I did like the films. I did like the ones before that, the originals, because on Netflix there was the. I know this is a Star Wars episode podcast, but since you brought it up, the original Star Trek was on Netflix, and it was like, it was hard to watch to start off with, but it was, you got used to it, and I used to watch all the old Doctor Who on YouTube, Tom Baker episodes and all that sort of stuff, so I enjoyed it, man. But the films were good too, do you know what I mean? But I just a wee bit less keen on the J.J. Abrams. Obviously, we are big fans of J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Because he lost. Which in episode 1, in episode 2, the guy, what's his name now? You'll be able to tell me. He's in Lost as well. He's the guy who was in the hatch with Desmond, and he kind of ditches him till he's.
All right. So what does he play in this?
I need to find it.
Do you know that you could? Do you know the guy who plays Desmond was at Comic-Con in Glasgow quite recently? I fancied going, but I didn't go.
When was it in Glasgow?
It was a few weeks. It was maybe in July. There's a meet and greet. You can meet him.
Yeah. I'm going to find this because I need to get the guy's name. It's really annoying me now. And you'll know who I'm talking about. But he was in Lost. I reckon. Big tall guy.
Now that you're on board, we need to do a Lost episode. You up for it?
Oh, aye, 100%. I can't find it now. We couldn't do an episode ranking though, because there's far too many.
Top 5 episodes.
Top 5 episodes.
Or even just an overall discussion.
I would probably prefer the overall discussion because I don't think because I think it really, as much as I like Lost, I just can't be bothered to go back watching it all again. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
David Tennant, he's who young. You're right. I didn't realise the episode as well that it was in like through a friend Ray. I didn't realise that Bailan Scully's name is.
Yeah, he died. The actor died.
When did that happen?
It wasn't that long before Ahsoka was coming out. Maybe like a month or a few weeks.
Right, I found the guy's name, Clancy Brown. His name is.
Oh yeah.
And he was the guy. I recognised him right away. He was the guy that was in the hatch with Desmond.
Right.
When he convinced Desmond to press the button.
Okay. I wouldn't have caught that because he see the character he's playing in Ahsoka, who's like the mayor of the planet Lothal, it's called.
Aye.
He voices him in Rebels, same character.
All right.
And he also does the voice of Darth Maul's brother called Savage Opress in Clone Wars, and he plays Blurg in the Mandalorian episode. It's like the prisoner, where they have to rescue the prisoner from the ship. There's the team of 5.
Uh-huh.
He plays the guy, the devil guy with the red horns.
All right. I didn't know that at all.
I didn't know that either. I just saw it on IMDb, my usual source of information.
That's what I was just on. I knew I recognised
Yeah.
it right away, so I saw him. I was like, that's the guy from
Mhm.
Lost, 100%. Just couldn't remember his name.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown.
There you go. I'm just trying to think what else happened in this episode. So we met Jason Sindula, the Hera's son,
Aye, that's right.
and it'd be interesting to see because young Jedi, could he potentially have a future arc where he grows up and gets trained in a future movie? Who knows? Interconnectivity. What did you make of the political maneuverings with the meeting?
I'm not really sure about it. I mean, I felt like that maybe that point I was, you know, like Rebels knew, and the episodes they knew more about it and things. I was, there's obviously a wee bit of kind of looking at each other, going, well, hold on a minute here. Because she wanted to use the resources to find Ezra. No, she didn't. She wanted to use them, but they were thinking that each they wanted to find Ezra, and there was a bit of back and forth between them. Like, so I wasn't really sure. Put it this way, I didn't really like the guy's attitude. I can't remember the guy's name now, but the guy was like totally against it. So I don't really know. But at the end of the day, man, I'm like, you would know more, and I don't know, and I don't know if that was linked to Rebels either. You know, so
I didn't really know much. Well, obviously, there's been past where the New Republic aren't getting on, etc. But I didn't actually realize who the guy she was arguing with was, because there's another Star Wars animated show which I started watching, didn't finish, because it's one that is properly aimed more at children. You've maybe seen it on Disney Plus, just on the list. It's called Resistance, and it's set between like Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and the guy who was in the hologram plays the dad, the overbearing father of the lead character of that show. So he's actually a character that's been in another show, which I didn't realize until I watched. I think I watched some kind of breakdown video afterwards.
All right, I obviously there's a wee bit of to and fro in there. The guys, did they really want to lend the resources out? So I'll be wondering, well, what's going to happen with that, because that's not finished obviously yet. So interested to see how that happens.
I feel like Hera's got her own kind of subplot, kind of working in the New Republic, because she was like the mother of the group. You probably saw that a bit in the first few episodes. She's like the glue. She was like the pilot, but also the one that kind of kept them all in check.
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling as well.
Yeah.
So,
did you enjoy the dogfight in space in this episode when they were working together to take down the other ships?
I did. Like I say, I did like that, because I wasn't really sure. Was it a point that they were really sure about working together at one point, and it was like,
obviously, this has kind of happened off screen, but Ahsoka was training Sabine and then essentially dropped her because Ahsoka's got a history of kind of walking away from things. So they're kind of just trying to gain their trust back again.
Aye, and you kind of got that impression as well when they did work together, and it was like, right, this is what can happen now. This is this is what we're going to do. So that was good at that point, because I knew that the trust was really there, and Hu Yang said that as well. You're working together now, and so that was good. The fighting space was good. I enjoyed that, and the fact that she shot a few of them down. You see that that was kind of building a wee bond there. Definitely. Like I said, just a bit after that about the whole space thing, I wasn't really sure about that. But I did enjoy it.
What do you make of the villains? Because you've got the kind of three of them. You've got the kind of witch character who was in Mandalorian in the Ahsoka episode, but then you've got the kind of, they're not Jedis, they're not Sith, they're kind of like former Jedis, like kind of grey Jedis. What do you make of their characters?
I really like those characters, actually. the kind of the grey Jedi's, if you want to call them that. I do like them. There's a wee bit of mystery about them, isn't there?
Mm. 'Cause
Um,
the guy, I keep forgetting his name. Is it Skrull? The guy you were talking about?
Skull.
He was obviously a Jedi who's left the Order as well. So does he know Ahsoka? Is there a link there? Possibly. And I'm interested to see what happens with them.
Definitely. When you first get introduced to them, when you went on that ship, the episode 1, it was pretty badass, man. Do you know, it was good. It was
As you said,
obviously,
the first 10 minutes were awesome. It was a bit like when Skull was taking people down in the hall. It was a wee bit like Vader, what Vader did at the end of Rogue One.
aye, it was good, man. It's cool. Not that I'm rooting for the baddies here, you know, but it was just good TV. Is that how it started? It was brilliant. But I do like those two, definitely. Unsure about the women writing off. No, really in it as much.
Yeah.
But
So obviously she was in that Ahsoka episode, and at the end of the episode, Ahsoka goes, "Tell me where Thrawn is." So there's that big tie back to season 2 of Mandalorian where this kind of all started.
no, definitely.
It's quite interesting because she's like a witch of Dathomir was the phrase she used, which is the planet that Darth Maul's from.
All right.
So that planet's in. Have you ever heard of the Jedi Fallen Order games?
Aye.
That features heavily in that. So you get to go to that planet and things like that. So there's a lot of linkages.
Did you like Darth Maul?
I loved him in Phantom Menace, and he had some great moments in the animated shows because he came back with like spider legs.
Really?
So now you get cut in half in Phantom Menace.
Uh-huh.
He's seeing Clone Wars and Rebels, and they somehow made this work. He just hit, like, Google it. It's just Maul half and then like metal spider legs.
That's
But
pretty
he's
cool, man.
but he's still badass. So he's not
I think
like I'll let down.
that was the best thing about Phantom Menace, I think, Darth Maul. It was just with the lightsaber, different kind of lightsaber, didn't you? He had all the martial arts as well.
Yeah, Ray Park, isn't it?
Aye. That's right.
Toad from X-Men.
Yep. When I read about it ages ago, it was him doing all that. It wasn't like a stunt double or anything.
It's Pete Seravenovich that does the voice, from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, your roommate?
Aye.
All right.
He voices Darth Maul in the prequels.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Aye.
He only has about 5 lines in Phantom Menace, but that's Pete.
Oh, that's Pete, aye. That's classic Pete. That's a dog again.
One last thing I just wanted to, or two last things. What do you make of Sabine? Because I said this in my review. They were never killing Sabine off in episode 1. It just felt proper pointless for a bit of stakes.
And well, when it happened, I was like, "Oh, really? That's like." I didn't really know what to think, to be honest with you. The main character type of thing, and she's going down quite easily. I thought, no one's coming back from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she does, but obviously at the end she gets taken away. But I don't really know what to make here. I do like her as a character, don't get me wrong. I just think when that happened at the end of episode 1, sorry, I don't think it was needed. I don't know why they done it.
I liked the scene where she was meant to be at the ceremony and she just decided to fly away, and the pilots are half-heartedly trying to stop her, and there's like space rock music on. I thought that scene was good.
It's cool.
So that planet she's on, Lothal, that's like the main planet on Rebels. That's Ezra's home planet.
Right.
And did you see it? They're called Loth cats. Cats.
Yeah.
It's funny because see, when I was, the promo pictures I've been posting of my cat.
Yep.
Literally, my cat heard that cat meow, and no joke, for the next 40 minutes, his eyes are glued. He watched the whole show. Like,
Nah, so right, okay. So that makes more sense then.
Domino's watched more of Ahsoka so far than Paul, probably.
I thought Paul caught up with all, you know.
He's watched the first two. He hasn't watched the third one yet
Right,
because I was going to ask him for a wee cheat sheet with his views. So yeah,
aye.
but I'm sure we'll hear Paul's views on Ahsoka in a future episode. We can maybe do a wee end of season overall discussion.
Did Paul like episode 1 and 2?
He didn't really say anything because he kind of just said you need to watch Rebels or something along those lines. I think your view of episode 3 and hopefully now you've got a wee bit more backstory. I think, to put words in your mouth, but I feel like you seem to be quite enjoying it on the whole.
I'm enjoying it, aye, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it's just taking me a wee bit longer to get into it. But I'm going to rewatch 1 and 2 again, and then I'll just probably watch 3 as well, and I'll do a wee bit of YouTubing, Rebel stuff. I think it does make a wee bit more sense now that you've started to give me a wee bit of a background on it.
The last thing I just wanted to ask you about was what did you make of the space whales?
They're pretty cool, man. I like them.
So basically, they're. Sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say it. I was like, they're whales. What do you call them again? Is it parafill or something? Is it, what do you call them?
Purgles.
Aye. So
basically, their power is they can essentially transport between universe, like galaxies. And that's so Ezra kind of learns to commune with them and communicate with them, and it's a recurring thing. It doesn't just randomly happen at the end of Rebels. Like you see it happen multiple times. He like kind of learns to communicate with them, how to like treat them well and things like that. And Ezra always had an affinity for animals, and yeah, that was their big thing. That I think the truth is, I'm sure it was that they essentially created the lanes between the galaxies. It was actually the Purgles that created that path. I think they were quite laughed at, space whales, when they first came out, but I think over time people have started to like enjoy their story.
Aye. When I first seen them, I was like, was that just a whale that I seen there? Just kind of, but they explained it at the end of episode 3. It's like, because that ship, what was it called again? The hyperdrive, was it?
Yeah, they're going to use that to get to Thrawn and Ezra. Quite interesting. There's a scene in Mandalorian season 3 when they're going through hyperspace, and you see a Purgle go past.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I need to go back and watch that.
You wouldn't have known that at the time. I knew about it because obviously I'd watched it, and I don't know if I really noticed it right. No, I did notice it right away. There's a scene in Ahsoka where Skull, or I hope that's his name, he's looking at the sky. It's near the start of the episode. He's looking up at like a kind of stormy sky. Apparently, you can actually see a Purgle there as well. So there's a few times that it's came up.
A wee bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, but I think I like the way they're linking. They're calling it the Mandoverse, like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, how they're all kind of linking together, because it's obviously been announced that Dave Filoni is going to direct a movie that culminates it all.
That would
kind of ends it all. So that'd be a cool trip to the cinema, seeing that.
Oh, aye, definitely. Is that a seismic cinema? For
that? Yep. Definitely. Right. So I think, I don't know, it's kind of hard to. No, we'll go for it. So what's your seismic stars for episode 3? What would you give it out of 10?
I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay.
7 out of 10. Just, I think purely because I'm still starting to get some of the characters again, but I think the bit in space, you
can't get over that, can you?
I need to watch it again because I ask questions at a time. they didn't wind it back to see was she wearing a spacesuit and things like that. You know, just be trivial things, and it just looked that. I maybe contradict myself here. I might have said it looked good, but really, I think looking back, I just think it looked daft. It didn't. I don't know, man. It just I was a wee bit disappointed in it. So
I would need to see it again myself.
aye, 7 out of 10. I think I'm going to give it.
And series as a whole, first three.
First three, I'm going to go back and rewatch them again. Season whole, the first 3 episodes, 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm still a wee bit unsure about the first 2 episodes, so aye, I'm 6 out of 10, mate.
I'll probably go 7, same as you for this one. And overall, 7.5 overall right now.
Okay.
My main gripe's been just a wee bit of lack of charisma from the characters at times.
Is that in the season as a whole? Was it because you said episode 3
it's just more like, I think I just wish maybe like Ahsoka and Sabine would just, because Sabine was always quite witty. I think she's just a wee bit kind of withdrawn in this as well. And the bit with the stabbing, like they did that in Obi-Wan as well. Like they need to stop stabbing people, because Liam Neeson got killed by getting stabbed, and he's one of the most iconic Jedi of all time. And it's like,
no, they're making his death a mockery.
Like he'll be sitting up there being a Force ghost and being like, "What's going on down here?"
Oh man, that's terrible.
So that annoyed me, and I mention this in my review, but the whole MacGuffin being a map again, because they did that in Force Awakens with the map to Luke Skywalker, it just feels a bit copy and paste.
Aye, regurgitated. Aye. No, I get that, mate. I get that.
Yeah.
I just think, is see your scores? Is it just reflected on what you know already? Because I think you're into this with expectations.
I don't really have big expectations. I think just this people getting stabbed and not dying just is totally contradictory. Just
No, I
that.
get that. I get that.
The map thing, I understand they need to find Thrawn and Ezra, and there needs to be a way to find them, but I kind of wish it wasn't just a map. It just seems like it just immediately made me think of the bit from Force Awakens. So yeah, I think it's more just maybe some of the plot decisions. I think the show's emotional. I like character moments. I like the conversions of like Sabine. I think the Sabine casting's great. Chopper's great in live action. I think Hera doesn't quite look like what I thought she'd look like. Obviously, it's a human and not an animated alien, but the character's good. Ahsoka looks good in live action as well. Do you know who plays Hera?
No.
It's Ewan McGregor's wife.
What was it?
Yeah. Is it Mary Elizabeth Winstead? Is that it?
I
think that's her name.
Seen it before, didn't you?
But anyway, it's it's Ewan McGregor's wife.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mary Elizabeth Winstead,
Yeah. So I like the casting. I think it's got a good mix of action and slower pace. I think it's got quite a clear goal. The baddies want to get to Thrawn. The goodies want to get to Ezra. I'm assuming they'll get there probably at the same time.
I'd imagine so.
Or maybe Thrawn comes back first, and then Ezra has to then come back and save. There's rumors that, the Inquisitor, the one with the kind of spinny lightsaber.
Yep.
There's a few rumors which sound a bit daft that that's Ezra, and then he's went bad, but I don't know if I buy it. But
I don't know.
There's a few other rumors about who that character could be, but that's beyond the scope of this podcast.
Aye.
So I think that's us just about done. How's your full home debut been?
I been fine. A full 60 minutes Coming back getting subbed after 60 minutes. No, I
Don't worry,
enjoyed it.
I'm not continuing on about you. I'll go to bed.
No, I've enjoyed it, mate. It's good to be back on. As I say, do you know what I mean? Just a wee bit different for myself, man, because obviously Star Wars isn't my forte. So it's good to talk to you about a wee bit about Star Wars, and I wanted to get more into it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm speaking to the right person, definitely.
I think it's good having the balance of me v you. Like Paul's obviously watched Rebels now, so if it was me and Paul, it'd have been a lot more maybe one-sided. Whereas I think I sometimes get accused of liking everything, like liking every Star Wars show, not getting that mad at Rangers for a bad result. But the truth is, like, I see the good in what I watch. So, like, there's things I loved in Ahsoka, which I spoke about. There's always things I don't like as much, and I'll talk about them. And just because I like watching everything and overall enjoy most of the stuff, it doesn't mean like I don't see the negatives. Like I like to focus on the positives. Does that make sense?
No, I understand, man.
There wasn't a lot of positives in the game last night, but generally speaking, I like to view things positively.
No, it's a good outlook in life, mate. Do you know what I mean? I think it is and you do want to not try to be negative all the time, and you want to try and look at the good stuff. I get it, mate, 100%.
But the thing is, like, you see people moaning about, oh, there's too much Star Wars. Maybe there is. There's too much Marvel. There definitely is. But it's like no one's forcing anyone to watch it. Like Tales of the Jedi, Visions, they're sitting there. You've not watched them, but they're not bothering you. Do you know what I mean?
I know, no, exactly.
They're not hurting anybody.
No one's forcing me to watch them. You know what I mean? Definitely.
So, like, I think, like, yeah, people can enjoy what they want, and I'll eat up anything that comes my way because it's something I enjoy.
Definitely. Listen, mate, I definitely think that I can understand people are going to say as well that because you're such a Star Wars fan that it's like, well, anything Star Wars comes out, you're automatically going to like it.
Not,
do you know what I mean? No, I'm not saying you do. Do you know what I mean? But
like Mandalorian season 3 was not that great overall. All about that.
No,
but season 1 was fantastic. Season 2 was really good. So it's peaks and troughs.
That like everything else, man. Do you know what I mean? Marvel's to a massive trough at the minute, isn't it? To be honest with that. That's another podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just to kind of draw things to a close. Yeah, before we do that, just we've obviously reviewed the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka now in total, with 5 more to go. Is this a series we should continue doing? So if you're listening and you want to hear the rest of our views and even a overall summary at the end, we'd love to hear from people that are checking us out. We'd love it if you could give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, maybe Fred's, but who cares, and TikTok as well. Sorry, Fred's, you're getting in the neck tonight. And if you could follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Apple Podcasts and any of the other places where we listen to podcasts. And we have a website, seismiccinema.com, that James has just promised to spruce up a bit.
I'll do my best.
And as James said, we have a Buy Me a Coffee page and a subscription service on Spotify for podcasters, but there's literally 1 episode on that right now. Although it's an interview with Jeff Minipace, the American author. So you should check that out. And maybe in the future we'll have more things on there.
I think we're sitting at 96 subscribers just now, Colin, so it'll be good to get up to 100.
You've just said you've been converted.
I did say we. I'm part of the team now, that's what it is.
I don't even need to thank you for coming on now. It's just an expectation. So thank you for those who checked this out. And yeah, we'll see what happens next in Ahsoka.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for listening, everybody.